Welcome to Survivor Series 2020. Now, if you hear a baby in the background, I'm sorry. The baby next door with the family is crying, so I'm sorry. I gotta say this. I did not want to look at the Survivor Series. I didn't care about looking at Survivor Series. I didn't care about any of the matches, even though there was 2 matches I thought might be okay. And then the Undertaker's retirement really made... No, I didn't understand it. But I felt that it was wise to do the review. So I'm going to go through all of these. I'm going to try and make them as short as I can because the ending is the only thing that matters. I did not look at the Battle Royal, but they did show at least a basic highlight. And I got to say this. If Vince wanted to make this Survivor Series a bit different, there was one good thing he could have done, and he didn't do it. He could have let SmackDown win between the Battle of the Brands. Didn't happen. Again, it's been 10 years. 10 years, you guys. Easily. More than 10 years, but I'm just going by 2010, 2020. SmackDown has never won Survivor Series. And again, Vince does not see what needs to be done for SmackDown. SmackDown has the higher rating. And instead of capitalizing on that and making the ratings mean something, nope. Again, SmackDown loses. The Battle Royal, I didn't watch it. But I found out The Miz won. And he went up against, I don't even remember, he went up against Dominic. There were the last 2 in there. Dominic loses. They could have done that with SmackDown. No. You got the 5-on-5 elimination match for the men. I had a feeling when I saw the men open, not the women, or any other match, because usually 5-on-5 elimination, yes, the Undertaker's there. You would at least put something in the beginning of the show that didn't cover this. This is traditionally the 5-on-5 elimination match for men is usually near the end of the show. They open with it. I knew 1, it wasn't going to be good, and 2, SmackDown was going to be destroyed. And guess what? It was. Now, do I care? No. Because they didn't sponsor anything for SmackDown and Raw. So the next thing, New Day versus the Street Profits. Now, if this was about 2 or 3 years ago, easily, I would have been really interested in seeing the Street Profits go against New Day. Really. I would have been so interested in seeing both tag teams. If New Day was tag team and Street Profits were tag team, I would have been interested easily seeing it. But at this day and age, where the Street Profits have looked like idiots and they've held titles that are totally useless no matter which brand they're on, I didn't care. I didn't care, and it wasn't a bad match either. And the Street Profits won. One of the few wins SmackDown had. I didn't care. Now, I know a couple of people, and look, I'm half black. I never hide that fact. I am mixed black. Yes, my father's Puerto Rican, but I see myself as a mixed black. I do. I grew up around my mom. I'm proud of who I grew up with. I grew up with my cousins. They were black. I don't say nothing wrong about Puerto Ricans, but I grew up around black people all my life. And when I saw this, it meant something. Seeing 2 black tag teams who were champions on different brands go up against one another was something special. You don't normally see it. But what brought it down for me personally is because neither team has done anything at all. Yes, Xavier Woods has come back from injury, from his patella tendon. And I'm happy that he's back wrestling again. Because that could be a career-ending injury. That is bad. But when it comes down to it, I felt nothing. Because they didn't give me anything. And I felt sorry for these 4 individuals because it was actually very special. Really. But in the end, SmackDown won the title. Well, not won a title. They won a round, but didn't mean anything. Now, the Bobby Lashley of the Hurt Business went up against Sami Zayn. It wasn't a bad match, but it didn't really matter. Didn't matter at all. It meant nothing. Because no hype behind it. Nothing. Now, because of what happened with Jey Uso, because Jey was the last person to survive the 5-on-5 elimination match, you got Roman Reigns telling him, you disappointed me, get the hell out of this arena, I don't want to look at you. Now, of course, I'll get to him in a minute when the end of the show is going to reach, but it was a good thing to see. They're making sure that Roman is still sticking to his character and he's still looking good. The only match of the night that I liked, the only match I felt was the best match of the night, Asuka versus Sasha. Champion versus champion. This was the best match of the night for me personally. That, hands down, the best match of the night. Nothing else was better. Nothing else came close. And Sasha won. I expected she had to win because she doesn't have... She can't just lose and then deal with Carmella afterward. Because I know Carmella is dealing with her right now. So, she had to win. But in the end, it was the best match of the entire show. The only match of the entire show... You hear me botching because it was just... This was the best. Hands down, the only true good match of the show. Now, Jey Uso was still good in the match, but it does not mean the match was great. Flat out, didn't matter. Now, 24/7 Championship was won by the Gobbledygooker and then lost by the Gobbledygooker. That's all I'm saying. The women's elimination match, there was only one person there that shined, and that was Bianca Belair, and I have a picture of her in my face. That woman looked spectacular. Not taking anything from Liv Morgan, not taking anything from Ruby Riott. But it was all about Bianca Belair. At least until the ending of the show. Now look, Lana, believe I got a shot of her. She's in my face, like Bianca was. We knew this was going to happen with Lana. But we thought maybe everyone would be eliminated. And maybe they would let her do something. No. They made her stand on the steps leading into the ring because she basically tagged herself in without anyone's permission. And she was told, like a little child, shut up, stand there and do nothing. And by the end of the match, when Bianca was the only one left, because Shayna Baszler was eliminated because she DQ'd herself due to the fact of putting out Bianca when she made it to the ropes. You had Nia Jax thrown into the I'm just angry right now, calm. You have Nia Jax thrown into the displays. Bianca could not make it back to the ring in time. And Lana won because of double countout. I believe she's still in my face. I don't know when I'm going to put this in. This is the most stupidest thing. They actually thought Lana was going to get somewhere. They are freaking idiots. This was a freaking joke. And if I'm right, this Raw, Lana's going through another table. And then she'll go through another table. And if they don't throw her through a table, they will start pushing her in some form or fashion, which will be stupid. Final match of the night. Roman versus Drew. This was the other match I wanted to see. Now here's the thing. The match wasn't 100% bad. It wasn't. It was slow in the beginning. And it felt like a lot of rest holds were used during this match. And it was by Roman. Now, mind you, with his character as it is, being someone that would be considered a heel, it makes sense. But here's the thing. And Jey saves him at the end of the match. I'm not even going to talk about the match. Jey saves him by distraction. Then Drew manages to win. He does. But the thing that got me Vince was trying so hard. The production truck was trying so hard. Audio was trying so hard to sell him as a heel, using incredibly high amounts of canned heat. Turned me off beyond no end. Not only you could hear the looping of the canned heat, and they didn't even bother to vary up the canned heat. It was just the same canned heat. You can hear the same person booing. They tried so hard to make him a heel. The boy's a face. He's a face for quite a while. People already know he's a face. And I admit, I thought he was just going to be generally heel. But this is a face. Right in front of us, no matter what, he's a face. Particularly if they're pushing him like a heel. They're demanding you to see him as a heel. They're screaming at you to see him as a heel. He is now a face. And now they failed and making him a heel when they really always want him as a face. Unless Vince thinks reverse psychology is working here, which it looks like it's going to. When crowds come in, they're going to cheer him. And if that's what Vince wants, he finally got what he wanted. But if Vince didn't want it, and he's pushing him as a heel, he's going to get pissed because he's going to be cheered when the crowds come back. I'm just saying. Now, we've gone through all that mess with only one match. One that was good in this entire show. For me personally. The Undertaker's ending was already a bittersweet thing because I didn't agree with him retiring now. Could have waited until WrestleMania. Yes, it's the 30-year anniversary, but he didn't need to retire here. I don't care if it was Mark Calloway who said it himself or Vince. It had to be Mark. Had to be Mark himself who said, you know what, I'm going to end it here. Let's do this. I'm sorry, Mark. I respect the living hell out of the guy. I love the guy. But this was the most stupidest thing for him to do. Because it felt empty. They did video packages that lasted a good amount of time. Well, let me crank this back. Before 10 o'clock. It was before 10 o'clock. We've already been through 4 hours of the show already. 4 hours. Counting the kickoff show with the Battle Royal. 4 hours. You think, hey, they're going to do this early. Maybe they'll finish it much earlier than they normally would. Maybe 3.5 hours would be good. No, they go beyond 4 hours. One, you bring out Big Show, Shane McMahon, JBL, Jeff Hardy, the Godfather, who's a great friend of The Undertaker. You bring out Mick Foley. You bring out the good... You brought out nearly 18 to 19 people in the ring. And none of them say anything. They just go out to the ring. And the commentary team says something. And then, instead of bringing The Undertaker out to be in front of his peers, his friends, he doesn't come out. They're all gone. They show another video package. Vince comes out and speaks instead of being in the ring with everybody else, which you know everyone had to be checked to see if they had COVID. They had already gone through the test. They had to go through the temperature. They were fine. I'm sure of it, unless Vince didn't make sure they were all safe. Because you knew with Ric Flair out there, they had to test him. And everyone else. Because Rick is in the 70s. He is very, very in that spot where he could be dead if this goes wrong. They say nothing. They don't even stand in front of him as he speaks. And this is The Undertaker. No, he comes out by himself. He looks completely alone. Empty. He looks like he didn't want to do it that way. The look on his face, for me personally, I could be wrong, did not look satisfied. Maybe he was. But for me personally, I was not satisfied because if he wasn't going to have any crowds, he should be in front of his damn peers, his friends, Triple H, the last person he worked with, HBK. I know he worked with other people, but you know what I mean. Saying the end of an era. He worked with HBK. He worked with Triple H. He was the one who sent off the Ric Flair himself when his time came in 2009. Because Rick wrestled 3 more years after that. But WWE, he ended. He was done. And you could not even let him go out there. And when it came down to it, guys, yes, the Undertaker spoke well, saying simply, I put everyone away, rested them in peace for 30 years. Now the Undertaker must rest in peace. It is time. He didn't say it's my time to retire. He just said it's time. And I believe they told the bell about maybe 10 or 20, maybe up to 30 times. I didn't notice. And he kneeled in the ring. And they showed the image of Paul Bearer. That was a beautiful thing. For me personally, you know what I would have liked? Him coming out to the original music he came out to in 1990. That, I'm not saying to come out in the same attire, just the same music. Come out in the same music. No fanfare, no display, nothing. He comes out as he did the first time he came out in Survivor Series. I think that would have been a better homage to him than coming out with all the flash and flare. He should have came out as he did when he first appeared, when Roddy Piper said, "Damn, look at that big ham hock." If you've ever seen Survivor Series 1990, that is what pretty much the Roddy Piper, you see him angry. Piper said that. And I believe he should have come out with no fanfare, no flashiness, just came out in the original music, not the same clothes, but the same music, and be surrounded by his peers. And then say what he had to say. Because this is about honoring Mark Calloway, the Undertaker. Now, what does this mean actually? Next year, they're going to have the Hall of Fame, I'm sure of it. And Mark will be going into the Hall of Fame. He will go in the Hall of Fame. And I truly believe this should have happened on the Hall of Fame. What should have happened, this is what I believe should have happened. He came to Survivor Series. And he says simply, because there's no guarantee he's finished yet. I don't believe it. But he said, this was when I first came to the WWE and raised hell. But now it has been 30 years. And my hell days are behind me. But it does not mean the Undertaker's gone. It just means I'm your memory. I'm a dream. I'm the Undertaker. Leaving a hint for retirement, but not actually retiring. Next year, when he finally goes into the Hall of Fame, he can go to the ring. Hopefully we will have some fans or someone there. Or better yet, at least have his peers in the ring with him. And he retires then, after being honored in the Hall of Fame. This was bullshit. I don't know if he agreed to this. Maybe he did. Maybe he liked it. Maybe he was convinced. Look, I believe this did not need to happen now. I believe that Mark wanted to retire. Talk to Vince. Vince said, "You want to do it now? Let's make it a spectacle." And I do not believe that all of this is what Mark wanted. Now, if he wanted this exactly like this, that's on him. But I believed it was the most stupidest thing he could have done. This was the wrong time to retire. He could have thrown hints out at this Survivor Series honoring 30 years of The Undertaker. But no. They could have just honored him. And then next year he retired. But he's retired supposedly here. This was garbage for me personally. This felt empty. I'm not happy about it. How do I feel about this show? It was the worst show WWE's put on in 2020. Hands down. Anyone else loved it? More power to you. But for me personally, this was garbage. And seeing The Undertaker like this, and he had about 18 people that were in the ring, and instead of him going out there, doing his lines in front of his freaking peers, no, he's by himself. And I believed in this situation with no fans and 5 to 8 minutes of canned pop that sounded so bad. It was the thing that legitimately turned me off. All that canned pop being so incredibly loud. And when he said finally rest in peace, and they replayed rest in peace from fans before, this 100% like it was just a piece of shit. It hurt my heart to see, not that he's retiring or retired, that he did this with no fans and Vince putting in such high amounts of canned pop that it turned me off. Flat out. This was the worst show of 2020. But this is my point of view. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.